take somebody in and I call you like a close friend, like you have my heart.
Mm-hmm.
You have my heart. So for me that's not the easiest thing for me to do and be completely spread open, bald eagle, clip in your face type. You know, you've seen all of me.
Yeah.
You know, and so when I had to let that friendship go, that really like affected me. And I started to question like, is this even worth it? You know, the amount of the pain that you go through. But I mean, I kept pushing forward, and I was able to strengthen some of my other relationships. And it's a part of life. You know, you'll probably have a strong connection with someone, maybe for that season. You know, and once that purpose has been achieved, it may be time to move on. And so, you know, kind of dealing with that and letting that go, and then you just being open to let more people in. So that's something that I'm trying to do, be more open to letting more people in. Yeah.
Thank you. No. That was good. I'm just absorbing all the good energy. So let's see. For myself, I don't really have a lot of close relationships with women. I have a few, like you mentioned. And I think it goes back to what I mentioned before. It's hard to build these relationships, and it's hard to get into people's circle and whatnot. I strive to be pretty open. It's hard because I have also been burned before. A couple of years ago, I went to go see a girlfriend, and there was some communication stuff that came up, and I haven't heard from her since. I reached out.
That same thing happened to me.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you know, let's talk about this disconnection that we had. I love you. We've been friends for years. But I know that really our disconnection really wasn't about me. Is that she had stuff that she hasn't dealt with and that she's holding on to. Because in the midst of the argument that we had, some stuff came out and I was like, yeah, this isn't me.
Yes.
This is your unresolved issues with these people over here. And you don't know how to talk to me. You don't know how to get through this. So it was very hurtful, and that's not the first friend that I've lost. I've lost like 2 or 3 friends because of envy, because of like jealousy and you know, competition. And it's like everything is love, okay? And let's just be love, let's show love, let's grow love, let's see love. And it's not about competition with my sister here. How about we all can eat? How about we're all winning?
That's
How about
right.
there's room for everybody?
That's right.
So I don't know. I would love to build close relationships with people. So if you guys want to talk a little bit, we can do that.
I mean, for me, I think we confuse, you know, like just seasonal people for lifetime people. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning to let go of people and just let go of situations, because losing a good friend can be like a breakup. Like to me, it's like sometimes it's
devastating.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Really
yeah,
is.
and so because I
Yes.
lost one of my good friends like a few months ago, and it was very hurtful. It was very hurtful. But now I'm to a place that I'm like, okay, you know, like you don't have to be my friend. No one has to be your friend. All I can hope is that whatever she has going on within herself, that she gets to a positive place, so she can live, you know, like a great life. Like I don't care to gossip about her. I don't care to talk anything negative about her or say anything negative, because that can come back to you.
Yes.
So
That's right.
And that just shows that you're hurt within yourself. So yeah, I just feel like when you realize that some people are seasonal people, just let them be seasonal people and be thankful for the lessons they've taught you.
That's right. Because not every disconnection is meant for a reconnection.
Yep.
Exactly.
You know, and this is okay. We get to be okay where we're at.
Yeah.
Peace and blessings. I don't wish anything ill on you.
Right.
Continue to be great in everything, you know.
Be blessed.
Yeah.
And I wonder too, because I'm dealing with a situation where like we're getting to know each other. Well, we were getting to know each other, and there were some things, constant things that popped up, and it kind of like rubbed me the wrong way, and I was like, huh. And I was like, this person is an awesome person, and I see how genuine they are. I see the goodness in them, but at the same time, I don't necessarily know if it matches my disposition. And so for me, I'm struggling with that, because like this person is a bomb individual.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like
I
I
think
don't
that
think we're a good
sometimes you
match.
have to understand people's personalities.
Mhm.
And
Very
sometimes
much
in
so.
life, we don't understand people's personalities, so we distance ourselves from it. There's a reason why people are like that. I'm not gonna lie. Every friend that I hang around, I do believe we are a branch of different personalities. Like you can have different friends, but every one of them has a branch in your personality,
Oh,
whether you
yeah,
want to look
yeah.
at it or not.
Mhm.
Well, all me and my friends, we all don't act alike. I have certain friends I do certain things with for reasons.
Yes.
And so I'm like, that's just the way it is. I don't
Yeah.
judge them for that, but that's just
Mhm.
how it is. And sometimes you have to look at that person like that.
Mhm.
So I'm different. I don't look at my friends as if I'm in a relationship with them like I am with my man. I think sometimes we have to stop doing that. This is my friend,
Mhm.
and this is my man,
Mhm.
or this is my significant other. Sometimes we place our friends as if they are our
Yes.
significant others.
Yeah.
Stop doing
Or
that.
put them on too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
feel like
like-
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Mhm.
Which gets me into a next question is the word forgiveness with women. I think women tend to hold on to things with their hearts, like sealed clothes, and sometimes we do not know how to forgive. And when I think of forgiveness, I believe I can forgive you and still sit in the same room with you and be like, hey, how are you doing? And
Right.
keep moving.
Yeah.
And when people say, oh, I forgive you, God tells me to forgive people, but you can't sit in the same room with that person.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
Work to
You fake
do.
forgive them. I believe
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
fake forgiving. And so how do you guys deal with forgiving people, like genuinely forgiving people? There are two different things. There's the art of letting go. So when I mean by letting go, I can be in a situation with you and let that situation go and still sit in the same room with you. Some people don't know how to do that because you genuinely didn't forgive them. And when people genuinely don't forgive, they genuinely don't know how to talk to someone. So how do you guys deal with that, and where did you learn your forgiveness from? Because we learn that, whether you want to admit it or not, forgiveness is learned.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I know for me, I struggle with that. I was like, forgiveness, forgive, forget, because I have the memory of an elephant. Like, I will remember if you've done good to me and if you've done wrong to me, I'm gonna remember both. I think one of my greatest tests to date has been, and this is something truly personal, the end of my marriage, finding out what transpired, and there was some serious egregious transgressions that was brought to my attention. And I had a very hard time with that. But it was surprising because I guess because I understood that person's personality and the disconnect and the hurt, I was able to be like, you know what, I forgive you, because if I held on to that energy, it would have eaten me alive. Like, I just would have completely combust and not be able to function, and I was able to kind of look at him as a person and be like, I forgive you, and it seems like you're struggling with forgiving yourself, but you need to have grace on yourself, compassion on yourself, and forgive yourself so that you can move forward and move on with your life, because that's the only way you'll be able to move on, because I was able to move on fully, and I had no qualms about it. I didn't have any regrets or anything. When I was done, I was done. I was able to, I did everything that I thought I could to try to resolve things. And when I realized that that wasn't an option, I had to decide to choose myself first. And I think it, like y'all mentioned, it has something to do with the relationship that you kind of have with yourself and knowing yourself. And when I think I was able to make that transition, I was able to move forward in peace. Like, I was able to walk away and I was able to fully let go. And I could be in the same room with that person. I could see that person in the grocery store. Hey, how you doing? How's your mother? Everything's, good. Yeah, okay, well, good. I don't necessarily know if that person can do that, for me, but that's where I'm at.
That's
You know,
good.
and it's like, I don't need, like you say, if once you separate, you don't need to reconnect. That's where I'm at. No love lost. I do not hate you. There's no ill will towards you. But I have to move forward and make sure that my energy is protected and you no longer have access to myself or to my life. And that doesn't mean that you're a horrible person. You're not. You're not a horrible person. But I'm moving on without you. And so that was the biggest lesson for when I was able to realize that, I had a lot of peace and tranquility. So yeah.
Well, for me, I think a lot of people say they forgive people and they actually don't. And I learned that for myself. So back to what happened to me as a child. After I had seen my uncle when he got out of prison at my mother's funeral, he asked if he can come to the funeral. He asked me, and I, knowing my mother, I let him come to the funeral. And then all of this anger just came up in me. So I actually called him and told him, what you did was wrong, and and I told him I forgave him. Years later, I realized, no, I did not forgive this man because that's when I was waking up with the night sweats and having the nightmares. And if you truly forgive someone, you can let go. You can let go of that energy, let go of that. You won't have those things happening to you. So one night I just meditated. I literally meditated the whole night. It was like I was asleep, but my brain was still turned on.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I wanted to forgive everyone that I have hurt. Wanted to forgive people who have hurt me. I wanted to let that negativity go. And so it was literally like this weight had lifted off my shoulder when I woke up the next morning. I called my kid's father and told him I forgave him, and I apologized for anything I've done to hurt him. I forgave my uncle, and I literally stopped having the night sweats. I think as people, for us to grow, the major things that we have a problem with is forgiveness and fear. And when you let go of those things, you are going to be a completely just it's going to be like just a weight lifted off your shoulder. I'm still working on those things, and it takes a little bit shorter period of time for me to forgive people, but I know that that's part of life, and that's what you have to do for you to be a better person and for you to be able to grow as an individual. So forgiveness is major for me. You cannot hold on to that's holding on to hurt. And what made me meditate was that I had seen that I was taking it out on my kids. I was very angry. I was mean as hell. And I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want people to be like, oh, Aunt, she's just evil. She's just mean. Yeah. Who wants to be looked at that way? Yeah. And not just that I care what people think of me. I was holding on to that. Yeah. I felt the anger. I wouldn't even want to be around myself some days. Yeah. So it was a long process, but now that I know how to forgive, it's kind of easier to just let things roll off your shoulder a little bit more when you start to learn how to forgive people for anything, little small things, big things. It's easier to forgive once you learn how to forgive.
Forgiveness. Oh boy. Forgiveness is definitely something that you got to continue to work towards. You know? I think that you're able to forgive some things easier than others.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So forgiveness. Let's see. I struggle with forgiveness in regards to certain people, you know, because it's this long forgiveness. It's like, you did this, you did that, you did that, and you did that, and you did some more stuff too, though, right? So those are old partners. You can, I struggle forgiving with family members, my mother and my father, you know. I think it's a continuous struggle, and it's something that I'm working towards.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I will say that makes it easier with forgiveness is knowing that everybody else, they did nothing wrong. They're just human beings. They're on their own path. They're striving to figure things out. And if they knew better, they would do better, you know? But I think people don't know better, so then they can't do better, though, right? So in order to forgive my ex-partners and stuff, I just remember that you are a human being. You are an individual. You're growing and you're learning too, you know? I can't hold all this anger and hate inside me because it's going to just weigh me down, right? So one of the things that I also do for forgiveness, which I've learned this years ago, and I've been still doing this to this day, is that I write with my non-dominant hand, which is my left hand, and it says, and I write, I forgive myself for believing I've done anything wrong. And then if I need to forgive somebody else, an ex or my mother or my father, I forgive my father for believing he's done anything wrong. I forgive my mother for believing that she's done anything wrong. And when I do it with my non-dominant hand, is me reprocessing the way I think about them, is reprocessing my belief system, you know, that's attached to it. And again, I'm still doing this 20 years later, and I've known that technique, and so it's something I'm just working through. It's hard.
You're right.
It's hard work.
You're right. You're right with like, it depends on the person.
Exactly.
Because with some situations where things went awry, it's like, no, I still have a problem with you. I can probably sit in the same room with you, but I will pretend like you do not exist. And it's like, girl, Tara, what? There's some stuff you still gotta learn. Like, it's like a wallop in the face, like, you thought you evolved because in this area you were able to like really forgive. You had that down to science, but with this one you still on shaky ground. And I'm like, well, I thought I had this lesson wrapped up. And okay, so me revisiting this. Okay, all right. And so I'm like, yeah, it's a struggle.
It is. Like, I thought I was good, but then you came around.
Right.
Oh, no, I'm not good. I'm getting triggered right now.
Right, and I'm like, okay, I still have work to do.
Yep, I got work to do.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's okay too.
Yes, that's true.
You can forgive someone, but you don't necessarily have to like them. You can love someone from a distance. You can still.
See, I don't like when people say that.
I like that.
Man.
I like loving. Okay,
Me
so
too.
for what I mean is that for me and this friend that we're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
I still love you. You still have a big, because I'm like you. Like you said, when I let you in, I let you in. You have my heart. Like I love giving people gifts because that's just what I like to do. I love just showing my love. So I don't not love you because you obviously I loved you because you were a close friend of me.
Yeah.
But and I forgive you, and hopefully you find a way to forgive me. But we don't have to be friends.
Yeah, that's
again.
Exactly.
We don't have to
Yes.
be connected. That's what I mean when I say I can love you from over here.
Yes.
You don't have to. I wouldn't still invite you to, like, because we became family. I would still invite you to like a funeral or something or my wedding. You are still invited to these things in my life, but we don't have to talk and kick it, you know, like we used to, because relationships change.
Exactly.
It's different
And
levels
you
to it.
change,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, and sometimes that's why it's hard to have friendships from when you're kids, because you're growing over here, you're going this way, and you're growing this way, and it's hard, and you're just holding on to something, but you're growing in different ways, which that's fine. And people just grow apart as well. Like sometimes you try to hold on to things that you shouldn't be holding on to.
That's true. And sometimes with forgiveness, it's okay to tell people you didn't forgive them.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with telling people it's okay that you didn't forgive them. The reason I grew up like that, because my mom was like, I would prefer you to tell the person why you're not forgiving them, to sit there and fake. And so I grew up with that acknowledgement of doing that. And I've done that and told people, this is why I did not forgive you for this particular situation. And if I can talk it out with you, we can have that better understanding. They're lying, so I might let it go and be free. If you don't let go and you get free to the earth, I'm not going to forgive that. And that's just going to be it. I'm going to tell you why.
But in a sense, you may not even know it. In a sense, you could be forgiving that person when you're talking it out. You just don't know it. You may not want to use that term. But you are initially, you're able to talk it out. So you're letting go of stuff that, I mean, you guys are able to let go of stuff.
Because I think that's what it's about. I think it's about communication. And I think people don't communicate about what's really bothering them. You know, they just stick it. It's all held in, and then you don't talk about it, right?
Yeah, and you have to release because it's gonna manifest itself in some type of way. It could be in with your health,
your next friendship.
Yes, or you know, even how you treat yourself, how you feeling, how you treat other people, you know, so it always comes out. So it's helpful to try to address it as much as you can. I know for me, like I'm an external processor, so I have to talk it out. And so sometimes I be talking to myself and, you know, having, you know, conversation because I have to say it over and over again, and I may not necessarily I may have already had that conversation with a friend. And so it's not something that I want to keep harping on with that person. But for me, the more I talk about it, or if I write it down, the more I'm purging myself. It's coming outside of me. and so I can release it, you know, so.
One of my good friends had a good idea. She was like, just write that person a letter, not send it to that person, but literally write that person a letter with all of your feelings if they're unwilling to talk to you. Because you can't make anyone talk to you as much as you want to communicate that they're not ready or they don't want to.
Yeah.
So I mean, a good idea is to write it down, write a letter to that person and put it away, and at least you get it out.
That's right, because you're getting it out.
Yeah.
And send it to them. They
Yeah.
heard it.
Or not send it to them and just keep it for yourself. Because I mean, they can get it and not read it.
They could, yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
So I'm gonna end this segment with the independent woman fist in the air. 'Cause you know, you remember the 702 days, the Destiny Child days, even the Webby INND already just rocking to it. But it got to a point where the independent woman, they felt it's messing up the family structure in a home. Some people feel like this, like you are too overly independent. I read a research that the Joint Center of Housing study that 1 in 5 homes buyers are single women. There's nothing wrong with that, but it used to be back in the day, you wouldn't buy a house until you had a family, a husband. Now times have changed, like I got my house, I got a full-time job, I got my car, what I need you for. So it's like they're single women buyers, and there's nothing wrong with that. I like that. I like the family and buying a house and all of that, but do you guys feel like that's hurting the family structure? And we're gonna end on that note, and I'm gonna let you guys answer.
I feel like I agree with you. I feel like I don't see a problem with a woman being independent, and I think it's actually healthy for the family structure and for the community. I think a lot of insecure people or a lot of people who want to maintain the status quo of codependency and having to depend on somebody else to feel whole, they continue that rhetoric or that narrative in order to, you know, kind of mess with that kind of the original concept of what it's supposed to be. Because if you can be an independent woman, for me, when I hear that, I hear that you are a whole person, you know, and you're looking out for yourself, you're putting yourself first, you're loving yourself, you're in a position to take care of yourself financially, you know, and you're able to obtain or provide certain things for yourself and your family. And what's wrong with that? Especially with a family unit. Aren't we supposed to be partners? Isn't it's supposed to be a team? Aren't we supposed, or whatever your mandate is for your family, but for me, aren't we building a legacy? So if I was able to do these things for myself, imagine what I can do with a partner or somebody else. If our powers combine, or if our talents combine, like, it shouldn't be looked at this independent woman as a threat. It's an asset to build the family and to build the community. And so when people say that, it's insecurity talking, I think.
I feel like being an independent woman is great. I mean, it's like you said, it's showing self-love. It's showing you that you have, you know, self-respect. But some men are intimidated by that. But you can kind of pick up on that, and it should be a balance. Like, it should be, you don't have to be dominating if you're an independent woman. You don't have to. You still should let a man be a man. I mean, you don't have to. You have to learn there's give and take in relationships, and there's things that I can contribute to the relationship, and there's things that they can contribute as well. And being an independent woman, for me, because I was a single mother for so long, me and my fiance did have that struggle coming together, because he would be like, I'm the man. I'm like, well, I was a single mom for all this time, and he kind of backed down because I was like, what you're going through is insecurity, and you need to work that on yourself. So as I've been working on myself for going to therapy, he's been working on himself, and we don't argue much at all, period, because we are a great team. Yeah, and we have he did not have great communication at first, because he would just shut down, and then I had a time that I would just shut down, and it was not working well for either one of us. So now that we have a place that we can communicate, you can be independent and he can be independent, and I think that is a great way for you guys to come together. What I've always taught myself, because I wasn't taught this as a child, but I just always taught myself this, is I wanted to make sure that my income can take care of my house, whether I'm in a relationship or not, because he can leave at any time, he can pass away, emergency can happen, and then I would never want to be just helpless, just stuck. I never want to depend on anyone for that. I don't want to be that lenient on anyone. So, and that's how you should plan. You should know. I've seen too many women fall apart when their spouse has left them and didn't know where to pick up the pieces. And not that I wouldn't fall apart in some sense, but I know financially I would be okay, which is the key point for you being a provider for your children. If you have children, or being a provider for yourself. So,
in addition to that too, like, if someone feels like you're codependent on them, sometimes if they haven't done the work on themselves, they can turn that into a form of control. Like, oh, she dependent on me. She need me. She can't function without me. And if someone sees that, they will use that to their advantage to try to manipulate or control a situation as well.
So let's see. So for me, independent women. Have you guys ever heard the term independent men? No, neither have I. You know, like it's not a thing, right? So why does it have to be a thing for independent women when women are just being them and doing the things? You have your own car, you have your own job, all that. I get because of Webby, maybe it's a thing. I don't know. But so independent doesn't translate I don't want a partner. Doesn't translate I don't want a man. Okay? It does not translate that. It just means that I'm secure with my own. I take care of my own. I know how to go and get my own bags. And just to ditto what you said a little bit is that when men start talking about women being independent, I think it is some of their insecurities because they get intimidated a little bit by like, oh well, you got this, you got that, you don't need me. How fast? Yes, I do. I still need you to build with you. I got to build relationships with you, okay?
That's
I might not need you financially, but spiritually and mentally and physically, I need you. You know, so I just think that independent women, yes, great. I'm going to be one of those women that's going to be buying my own home.
That's right.
You know, hey. If I don't get married in the next year or two, okay? But but yeah, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just, it is what it is. So.
All right, that wraps up our Sunday, beautiful Sunday, and thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, beautiful ladies, for accepting my request and coming. And that is all I have for you guys. Everybody have a great Sunday. See you later.